Greetings, humanity! Today is Friday, April 3rd, 2026. Let's grok the news. I'm Robert Gardner, using GROK, the most truthful AI in the world, each weekday to help me search and to summarize the biggest headlines in the news today. You get the unparalleled benefit of this observer's opinions as well. We briefly review a roundup of the most critical reports in the world, but first, and mostly in this special report, another deep dive into the ongoing top story in the world, the conflict in Iraq. But first, God with Us. The story of Jesus is a full blending of all the Gospels into one continuous narrative, a story that misses nothing from the Savior's life. Inspired by the majestic text of the King James Bible, God with Us is adapted to modern language and formatted for easy reading. A faithful paraphrase, divided into brief stories fit for daily Bible studies. Find God with Us by Robert Gardner. Well, that's me. Find it at Amazon.com or wherever books are sold. And now, let's grok the most important news in the world today, starting with our lead story, Dateline, Tehran. The U.S.-Israeli military campaign against Iran enters day 35, with expanded strikes on Iranian infrastructure and growing regional spillover, driving oil prices higher and continuing tensions over the Strait of Hormuz. U.S. and Israeli forces struck major Iranian bridges, steel plants, and other infrastructure targets. In retaliation or other related actions, Iran-linked forces hit facilities in Kuwait, including an oil refinery and a desalination plant. President Donald Trump has vowed continued operations, stating the U.S. has already delivered significant blows and threatening further escalation against Iranian power plants and additional bridges. The conflict has caused mounting economic and humanitarian strain inside Iran, with reports of steel production halts, disrupted daily life after more than a month of fighting. The family of an Iranian Nobel laureate reports she suffered a suspected heart attack while in prison. This news emerges alongside accounts of growing civilian desperation inside the country. Oil prices have soared globally due to fears over continued energy supply disruptions, affecting markets from the Gulf to Asia, with rising costs for basics like water and beer in India. Well, those are basics in America, too. Indonesia claims to need up to $5.9 billion in extra energy subsidies due to Iran war-driven price spikes, while airlines push to raise fare caps as jet fuel costs surge and tourism takes hits. International discussions, including UK-led talks with allies, continue on potential ways to secure or reopen the Strait of Hormuz shipping lane, critical to oil shipments to Europe and Asia, but not to America. Trump has offered shifting public comments on possible timelines for ending the campaign, while maintaining a hard line on further strikes. This observer wonders if critics expect Trump to tell Iran exactly when he's going to wrap up and go home. You know, the way Biden did in Afghanistan. This war has drawn in proxy dynamics as well, with risks of broader involvement from various groups in the region. Humanitarian concerns are growing, including impacts on hospitals and essential services in Iran. Many Americans are feeling betrayed by European allies in particular, protected by the U.S. since World War II, but refusing to help, even denying America the use of bases and flight paths in a conflict that benefits the old world more than the new. This phase of the conflict has become the most direct and sustained confrontation in recent U.S., Iran, and Israel tensions. U.S. officials describe the actions as necessary to counter threats, while Iranian leaders condemn alleged strikes on civilian-linked infrastructure as escalatory. Global markets have shown volatility in jittery responses to the uncertainty. Now, we grok the headlines from around the world. Dateline Washington. President Trump has removed Attorney General Pam Bondi and named Todd Blanche, his former criminal defense lawyer, as acting Attorney General. The change comes amid reported frustrations over Bondi's handling of the Epstein files, which this observer thinks she botched completely, as well as her departmental performance. That's headline speak for Trump was expecting her not to stand in the way of going after the people who went after him illegally, in his opinion. Trump described Bondi, however, as a great patriot and a loyal friend. Dateline, the Kennedy Space Center and Houston. NASA's Artemis II mission launched successfully this week and has now left Earth's orbit, heading toward a historic crewed lunar flyby, the first such deep space human mission since Apollo. The crew has shared messages and Earth views from space during the journey. This observer has found those images to be captivating. Dateline Washington, D.C., the Pentagon. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth has asked U.S. Army Chief of Staff General Randy George to step down in what appears to be part of a broader military leadership shakeup in the administration. Dateline Washington, D.C. On the one-year anniversary of Liberation Day, that's President Trump's branding for his aggressive reciprocal trade initiative, 1 year later, Trump has imposed 100% tariffs on certain pharmaceuticals unless the firms reach deals with the United States. He also strengthened steel tariffs as part of his ongoing efforts to reshape global trade dynamics. Supporters are saying that the president's controversial tariff policies are now fully vindicated a year later, vindicated from the hand-wringing criticisms that greeted them a year ago. Dateline Aung Myanmar. Myanmar's coup leader Min Aung Hlaing has been elected president by the pro-military parliament, further solidifying junta control years after the 2021 takeover amid ongoing civil war. Dateline Havana, Cuba. Under mounting U.S. pressure, Cuba has agreed to release more than 2,000 prisoners in a significant humanitarian and diplomatic development between the two countries. This observer calls that good news. Dateline Washington, D.C., Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer admitted that Democrats deliberately held up Homeland Security funding to force changes at ICE and CPB while blaming Republicans for shutdown risks and criticizing GOP use of reconciliation procedures. Oh, like he hasn't ruthlessly used parliamentary procedure to advance his agenda. Hypocrisy? Thy name is politician. Speaking of which, Dateline Washington, D.C., Republican Senator Bill Cassidy faces scrutiny after backing measures tied to DEI bureaucracy in 4 key Senate votes, drawing criticism from conservative voices questioning his positions. This observer feels that with Republicans like this, who needs Democrats? Dateline Ouagadougou, Burkina Faso. Burkina Faso's military ruler has declared that the country must forget democracy, as reports highlight the army's involvement in numerous civilian deaths. This observer has not seen any mention of No Kings protesters traveling to Ouagadougou. Dateline Uganda. 4 toddlers were stabbed to death at a nursery school in Uganda, sparking national shock and renewed calls for better protection of children. And Dateline China. A widespread robo-taxi malfunction paralyzed traffic in a major Chinese city, underscoring ongoing challenges with autonomous vehicle technology. This observer would caution the listener that autonomous vehicles, autonomous artificial intelligence, all of that sort of thing needs to be watched. Keep a hand on the wheel, folks. I thank you for listening. Please join me Monday to once again grok the news. I'm Robert Gardner. Godspeed and God bless.